with you.
YouTube is live.
Party
Facebook
on.
is live.
Party
so
on, Garth.
Give it just a minute and we'll start.
Party on, Wayne. Iron Maiden. Here we go. He just dropped the computer. Here we go.
Oh, there we go.
Look, if we drop this computer, we got problems.
We could always start with that. How they do it. Come right into it.
All right. Good evening and welcome to SWARMCAST number 5. Randy Young along with Casey Massey down there on the end, the tech master himself, keeping things rolling along. Jamie Mader's right here in the middle. I'm Randy Young, and as you can tell, we are not in our normal studio confines for tonight. We are actually at the stadium inside the radio room where we were hoping that we would get a spring football game, blue on gold, but the weather just has not cooperated. I mean, it has been a frog washer this afternoon. Over 2 inches of rain and more coming. And in the interest of trying to keep the field from being completely torn to pieces, because the hope is that graduation will be held here Saturday, although, again, that's kind of iffy at this point, at least to me, based on the weather situation. There's no way in the world, though, if you get out here and completely tear this to pieces, that it would be manageable for anything to do with Saturday. So,
Won't have time to fix it.
no, at some point, I guess the call was made that the spring game would be canceled. There's just not another opportunity to do it. Now, the good news is Coach Rogers feels like they got the work in that they needed to get in. We're going to be talking to him about 7:15 or so, and we'll get his impressions of spring practice, which I thought went really, really well. And we'll talk to Jamie about it as well and kind of give our observations. We're going to talk about baseball. Baseball season came to a close, but not before a pretty doggone good run. We've got some soccer news. We've got some girls basketball news. They've actually got games coming up, kind of inter-squad games, practice games in June.
Okay.
And then some Booster Club stuff that we're going to talk about as well. But first off, we appreciate you guys being here. Casey, you good?
I'm good.
Yeah. Jamie, how you?
I'm awesome.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool to kind of be in the nest right here. We're in the hive tonight.
Yeah. Yeah,
Friendly confines
yeah,
here.
a little different. And, again, we were hoping that what you guys would be seeing right now was the action on the field, and we'd be kind of calling the game for you a little bit.
Yep.
But, as things have turned out, just not going to happen. And, again, when we walked in here about 45 minutes ago, I mean, it was raining, storming, and the sidelines and all the bench area and everything was just underwater. And, again,
Now it looks pretty good now.
yeah, for the moment.
What the maintenance team has done to dry this field out and put all the drainage in is definitely helped.
Yeah. Yeah, they added more of the drainage tiles to the field last year, and I think more of them actually
This year.
have been added since the end of football season, and that makes a big difference. It catches that water and gets
Not
it out off the
sitting there
field.
anymore.
Yeah, it just didn't sit stagnant. But, Jamie, let's talk a little bit about spring football before we get Coach Rogers in here, and we'll get your impressions on what you saw, and I'll offer mine as well. What were your thoughts?
Well, I was able to actually go out and see several football practices, and of course the numbers were phenomenal. I think Coach Rogers will attest to that. It's just, and overall, I think we got some guys nicked up, but
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, I think he got to see a lot of players that are going to have to kind of be there on the back burner and get a lot of players got some reps that we needed to see get reps, and I think he's got a little bit better feel of maybe where we are.
Right.
So we know who those 22 or those 11 on offense and 11 on defense, pretty much where we stand. So of course we're still looking for somebody to fill in on that defensive line. We graduated some big boys down there. We got to find some hogs to put down there on that defensive line, and I'm sure we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And but I think overall, I think that Coach Rogers was pretty pleased with the way we competed, and man, just the way they run practices, it's amazing to watch how it goes because every day it's a game within a game.
Yeah.
And I don't know how he gets the points tallied up, but I think at first, I think the offense was kind of having their kind of way, but I think toward the end there, I think the defense came on pretty strong and
Caught up a little bit.
Caught up a little bit, and you know, we were down some players on defense that had got hurt earlier in the spring, and I think we held Cam, Big Cam out for the spring to kind of get his shoulder back underway and get him feeling good. So, but we got after it pretty good. I think when you have to warn them about, hey, buddy, this is our teammates here. You know, we kind of need to let up and not finish some of those hits. So,
which is what he had to do. I mean,
absolutely,
he had to call them together and tell them, look, guys, we're all on one team here.
Yep.
Want you to play hard, but don't be taking your own teammates out.
Yep.
The scrimmage that we had last Saturday, where we had all the middle school guys and the JV guys, and all went really, really well. Huge crowd here. It was held last Saturday morning from about 9 until noon or so, and they look really good. I mean, the thing that I walked away with, Jamie, was just how impressive athletically those younger classes. Oh, my gosh. I mean, and there's nothing wrong with the current upper classes now. The current upper classes are very impressive. But, man, there are some dudes coming, and soon. Very impressive.
Yeah, these kids coming up from the 8th grade, that'll be 9th graders next year. Their class is it's one of those special classes.
Yeah.
To where it's just top to bottom. There's players all the way through it, and once you start meshing some of those kids that mature a little quicker than the other ones, I think you start meshing them up, and they get a bunch of reps at JV level, and I think some of those kids was actually going to play a little varsity action. I think there's 2 or 3 of them that probably would have got some snaps.
The 9th graders.
The upcoming.
Yeah.
So there's some dudes down there now. I like the way that 9th grade class that'll be sophomores next year, and that 8th grade class that'll be 9th grade. I love the mesh, and the coaches has got to love what that mesh looks like because it's a very complete with
size,
with good backup. I mean, it's at all the levels. I mean, you're not thin anywhere. Right. And that's the way he said he was real thin when he first got here.
Talking about depth-wise?
Depth-wise.
Right.
He said, man, because I asked him one day, I said, Coach, what you think about depth? He said, where? I said, I got you, Coach. He said, we don't have much.
Yeah, well, that's
what we're trying to build. So I think it's gotten a lot better, but I think he'll tell you that when that upcoming 9 and that upcoming 10th grade class right here gets to
juniors,
and sophomores, it's going to be a lot better. He'll have a lot better handle on the depth.
Now, you guys on Facebook, if you're watching, you can share this on your own pages if you'd like, and of course on YouTube. You can copy the link and share it if you'd like. If you've got questions or comments, now I'm not able to see any screens or anything.
Casey. We did have one question.
Okay.
Talk about the rest of our region. How are they shaping up? Or have you even looked at it?
Yeah, I mean, everybody's looked at it. It's tough when you start talking about another defending state champion with Coffee County in there, and then you throw Lee County in it, and Northside Warner Robins in it, and Houston County in it, and veterans in it. I mean, there aren't any slouches.
Here's the way it pans out. And this is not just in our region, but you got to look at Class 5A. You got the 7A state championship that moved to 5A.
Milton.
Mm-hmm. You got Thomas County Central, the 6A state champion, and you got Coffee County,
the 5A.
The 5A state champion. Yep. All in the same 5A
classification.
Class.
And then us and Coffee are in the same region.
And then we get Mr. Running back Croma from Lee County still thrown in there. I
think he's
when can he leave?
I think he's on year 10 of his contract, so he should be wrapping up here pretty quick.
But
he's been up there forever.
Lee will be. I think Lee will be a lot. Well, they'll be Lee County.
They'll be Lee County. And then Northside Warner Robins is Northside Warner Robins.
That's
They're a
right.
traditional power in the state. Veterans, you never really know what you're quite going to get with them.
That's right.
Sometimes they're extremely good.
Yep.
Houston County is still going to have A.J. Hill, one of the top quarterbacks in the whole state, if not the nation. And they're always going to be athletic themselves. I mean, there's no slouches there. There just aren't. Now, there were some players that stood out, and I'm going to need some help from our viewers out there, YouTube and Facebook. You're going to have to help me with names because some of these names are new, and I don't know them. Number 12, who's a receiver, JB. I know
JB.
Everybody was calling him JB. I don't know what his last name is, but he really looked good in the scrimmage last Saturday.
He did. He's playing receiver.
Yeah.
He's a big guy. And
is it JB Watkins?
JB Watkins.
Okay.
That's exactly who it is. He can.
How in the heck I remember
He can
that?
do a lot with the football when he gets it.
Yep.
We want to get him the ball in space and
Yep.
kind of let him do his thing.
84, tall, lanky receiver, looked really, really good.
Yeah, it showed some really good hands.
And I can't think of his
I can't
name by
think
any
of his
means.
name, but he's every bit of 6'4".
Yeah. Now they need to get him some double cheeseburgers now to get some meat on him. But now as far as his hands and all are concerned, if he get near him, it was caught.
He high points the
Dunbar.
ball real well. So
Dunbar?
Dunbar.
Okay.
Well,
that's a name. Never mind.
that's good genetics there, buddy.
The genes didn't lie there either.
Yeah.
Cam Simon, 13, going to play opposite of Cam Brooks on the defensive line, at the defensive end. He has grown so much and is so athletic. He stood out. Of course, Jalen Johnson at quarterback.
Yep.
Jalen coming back for his junior campaign. He looked very, very solid. Ahmad Ponder now wearing his dad's number 21. At running back looked good. A.J. Clark. Now, when A.J. was healthy, I kept thinking to myself, that guy right there is going to be a star, but he's just got to stay healthy.
Yep.
That's the biggest key.
Yep.
Jaden Rubo, he's the quarterback on that
He's
defensive
a stud
side.
now. He's a stud.
Now, they've taken Trayvon Pringle and moved him over to defense mainly now. And now you'll still see him play some offense, but his focus is going to be on defense.
Yep.
He was dinged up some through the spring with an ankle or a foot or something that was bothering him. But we know what Pringle can do. Now, I'm not going to say little brother, but his younger brother that's coming up from the middle school.
Yeah, he's
They played him a lot at that tight end spot, which I think is going to be by committee this year, the way it looks.
Yeah.
But he is an athlete and looked really, really good. And, of course, probably the talk of the spring was the offensive line. And I realize that we lost all 5 of our guys from last year. All the starters graduated. But this is the biggest offensive line that we have had since 1987.
Yep.
Size-wise.
Yep.
The runt of the litter, according to Coach Rogers, is 6'2", about 265. And there are 2, at least in my mind, legitimate D1 prospects down there on that line, and Artem Korchigan and Cooper, 77.
Yep.
And Korchigan wears 69, Cooper 77.
Yep.
Those guys are both 6'4", 315, 320-ish, and they're sophomores.
Yep.
And will be juniors next year.
Yep.
And I can tell you without divulging any secrets that some of the bigger programs from our region, not here in our community, but our region, have already started sending folks down to watch those guys.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if some of the guys right here in our town's been here to watch them too.
Yeah, well, that too. But as far as the colleges are concerned, they are definitely already on some radars.
Yeah.
That line is just size-wise is massive.
Yeah,
it's huge. And I know you like seeing that.
I do. I'm an old lineman myself, and believe me, I was just a sophomore when when Big Scott Cooley and Wayne Marshburn and
Revels and those
James
guys.
Revels and all them. I remember getting eat up in practice with them. So
Coach Rogers.
Yes, sir.
There he is. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Be better off I was on that sideline.
Yeah, we were just sitting here looking at it, though. I'm telling you, Coach, when we walked in here about 45 minutes ago, it was a frog washer. The sidelines, the track all underwater. I mean, it's drained right now, but, again, I think there's more coming. Nothing you could do, though.
Nah, it was just one of those things. You hate Friday worked out the way it did, and you didn't get to play at the end, but understood completely, and then you just so happened to weather the way it was today.
Well, this will give you a chance, though, to kind of wrap up and share your thoughts on how the spring went with everybody. First off, again, your general impressions of what you saw.
I thought it went really good, for spring. I thought our energy was great. Our competitiveness was great. I thought you saw some maturity with a lot of younger players learning, kind of how to embrace the process of improving daily, which was really good there. So I feel like you answered some questions at positions. Still got some questions at positions that we've got to kind of work through. But overall, I thought a very positive spring. Got a little banged up, especially on the defensive side of the ball with some nagging injuries that kept us from evaluating some things there. But, you hate you didn't get to see them in a competitive environment.
Right.
Just, because the lights change things and people looking at them and watching them. And so you want to see how they respond to those pressure situations.
Anybody really stand out for you that may have surprised you?
Guys that had good springs. I mean, we all know Jalen, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, he just picked up where he left off and just had a really good spring there. Rubo, same way. Just the consistency from those two guys. Kobe Carnage, I thought, had a good spring at running back. The sophomore running back showed that he's going to be a good asset for us. Rodney Dunbar, a big, tall, long receiver.
Yep.
Thought he had a really good spring, did some things well, was able to really kind of high point and judge the ball well. So I'm excited to see him through 7-on-7, see who all, as he matches up against other people. Thought Amari Stevenson had a good spring.
Yep.
Amari played some star, nickel out to the field for us, linebacker. I've also moved in the box a little bit, still trying to figure out exactly where he's best going to be served for us. But thought he did some things really, really well there.
I was going to not interrupt you, Coach, but Jamie and I, we've talked about Amari over and over again. I've always felt like he's one of those guys that could be your next Taiwan type player, kind of a unicorn out there to basically play wherever you need him to play.
We think so. He's improved his speed quite a bit, and so he's running a lot better now, and he's moving better. And so we're still working on being able to flip those hips a bit to carry people in man coverage. But no, I'm with you. And he's a kid that likes to hit too. That he's not scared of contact, so that gives you a good asset. No, there's no doubt Amari's going to be able to help us this year.
Yep. And
then the last one I'd probably is the O-line in general.
Yeah.
I think the O-line as a group really stood out in the potential they've got. I think they've got a chance to be a really good group.
Yeah, I know it has to do your heart good now when you look down there and see, I mean, not just huge guys, but guys that can move. I mean, there's some athletes along that line too now.
Yeah, they're not just slow. I mean, just fat and can't move. I mean, for no doubt. So we think, we can still do a lot of things with them. One thing is, I mean, they are big. I told Monty they're big. I mean, it's the biggest O-line I've ever had. But on top of that is, man, they kind of jailed pretty quick.
Yeah.
They're a tight-knit group. Now, funny story, shoot, man, they're probably – the O-line's the best trash talkers on the team.
Uh-oh.
He never had that, where your O-line is your trash talker. But they are now. So, yeah, that's something to monitor and watch as that progresses. That's been entertaining.
Yeah. Well, they know they're going to mash everybody. That's the thing about it, I guess.
They do not lack for confidence.
Yeah.
I will tell you that.
There was I can't remember which one of our linemen back in the 80s. Might have been Revels who talked about the fact he always told everybody he was looking forward to using his mass. And I always thought that, that's a pretty good way of putting it if you're a big old lineman. I'm just going to go out there and use my mass. Yeah, there's a lot of things you could read into that.
Yep.
Just saying.
Yeah. Well, we're going to lean on some folks, and I think they're going to get tired of getting leaned on as the game goes on.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things, Coach, that we talked about a little while ago before we got on with you was it looks like, too, with what you've got coming up young guy-wise, there's an opportunity for some depth there.
That O-line
or just along in general.
Oh yeah. We're gonna solve our depth issue after this year. We're still thin, but it's coming. You know what I mean? It's coming. This sophomore class that's about to be junior. So this junior class, that was my first group that came in with me. That were freshmen when I first got here. Our numbers have stayed high with that group. And as we can get our numbers high to where we're graduating 30-plus seniors on senior night, you got that stacked into classes behind them, larger groups, where you're still in the high 30s, juniors, 40s, sophomores, and then you want to be in those 50s and 60s for freshmen. But now you got your depth issue solved. So,
Right.
yeah, we're closely getting to where we're going to have way better depth across the board.
Yeah. Well, I was telling them, Coach, I remember in the locker room one night, we were getting ready to play a game, and I walked by you, and I said, Coach, how's that depth coming along? He said, and you said, where? And and it was just, you said, we don't have any. So,
Yeah, we're thin now. We're gonna be. I mean, last year we were blessed in the fact we had no major injuries, and there was so many starters that started game one that started in the championship game, and so it'll be the same way this year. There's quite a bit of a drop off right now in a lot of positions. Some positions are really close. There ain't much drop off.
Right.
So we're still trying to work to become a program where we really build depth. But that's a high school deal. You're always gonna have certain positions that are lower in depth than others. But I just really like the rising juniors, rising sophomores, and these eighth graders that's coming up, the rising freshmen. And in fact, they've got a lot of different body types in all those classes.
Right.
And so you're checking a lot of boxes. So that is what creates depth.
Right.
Yeah.
And one thing I wanted to mention before we got away from talking about your spring performance, Coach Drew Renaud. So nice to have a dependable guy back there, place kicking, and it looked like, again, punting wise, he looked solid.
Oh, no, yeah, Drew's going to be solid now. We just need to make sure keep him healthy because he can kick. And like I said, people didn't realize it because Hayden was such a great punter, but Drew's a great punter.
Yeah.
I mean, Drew can boom it now. And then we've got a good stable of young kickers,
Yep.
that I think are going to be really good. And so this would be great, having Drew, because I think that's what all those guys are a year away. And so just working with them this year to be able to step in to when Drew leaves. But yeah, Drew's just as calm as can be, doesn't get rattled. And that's anytime you feel good about that, that's big. That's just like a quarterback. When you got that kicker coming back, you got all your kicking covered by a guy that's been in the battle. That's nice and very comforting.
I wanted to mention, now you talked back at the beginning of the spring how you were looking forward to working with a quarterback that was returning for the first time in about 10 years or so. How was that for you?
It was awesome, man. We ran more stuff. We ran more plays this spring than we ran, and I don't know when. I mean, in spring. But I always tell them, you can carry however much offense that your quarterback can handle.
Right.
That's the driving dictator for how much offense you carry.
Right.
All the other players just learn their role on whatever play you call. But it's can the quarterback manage and function within it to be able to understand all the options. And so having him, we were able to just do so much more. I mean, we carried a ton of offense in the spring of having Jalen. And it's like cheating. I mean, he's checking plays already and doing stuff. We were joking with the defense, because we'd have blitz periods where they would, have under pressure and they'd blitz us. And I'm like, boy, you don't want to blitz Jalen, do you? Heck no, man. That joker knows where to go with the ball. And so, yeah, it's ridiculously nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, now what's the schedule for the summer for you?
Yeah, we'll move to the summer. Like, we didn't get to conclude it with a game today, but it was one of those nights where the field, the way it was only, nothing positive could come from it. But, boy, you sure could have had a big-time injury with it. So we wanted to just go ahead and put this one behind us and move on. And so we'll start June the 3rd. And so June the 3rd, we'll get kicked back off. We'll work Monday through Thursday every morning. And then every Tuesday night, those first 3 Tuesday nights in June, everybody can come on out from 5 to 7. We'll host our 7-on-7 summer league, passing league, and we've got a ton of teams that's already signed up from Florida to South Georgia, all around to come on those Tuesday nights, and that'll start June 4th. And then the first week we go to Auburn for 7-on-7. The second week we're going to University of Florida for 7-on-7. The third week we're going to make the big trip down to Orlando. Never been to Central Florida.
Okay.
We're going to go down there and throw at Central Florida, and they've recruited our guys, and so I feel like I owe it to them to go down there. So we're going to go down there. And then to finish up the month of June, we'll go to back to Brunswick for a 3-day camp there with Ware County, Brunswick, and Bartram Trail out of Johns Creek over in Florida. And they'll come up. And so we'll have a good little camp right there to finish up the month of June.
Awesome. And then, of course, July, you hit the ground running.
Yeah, July. Yeah, we talked about that today because I'm finalizing summer schedules and getting everything we want to work on offensively and defensively in our situations. And so we was looking at July. You go and you take the dead week.
Yep.
And so you got the dead week off, and you come back that next week in July, and we get 4 practices that weekend. And then the next week, we're going to wind up, I think it's the 15th. Don't quote me on that. I think it's a Monday. We're going to go to Colquitt, and we're going to practice with Colquitt that day. And then the next 2 days, I think it's the 16th and 17th. That's a Tuesday and Wednesday, if I'm right. We're going to host our shoulder pad camp. And we've got Troup County, Tiff County, and Creekside out of Atlanta coming down.
Okay.
And so we'll do our shoulder pad camp at our place with those guys. And then that following week, you got acclimation. And then the following week, we play Lowndes.
Golly.
So I was explaining to all our coaches today and staff meeting that, guys, you've got to make the most out of June.
Yeah.
That when you get back in July, yes, we're going to have that first week, but then it's just all going to be measuring. I mean, you're going to go compete with people, compete with Colquitt, go compete with our camp, then come back to acclimation, make some corrections, then go compete with Lowndes. So, you got to get a lot done in June. Now, in saying that, that's also, I hope that helps the fans at home and things understand that, yeah, man, it sucks, losing the spring game, but there's tons of, competitive opportunities coming.
Right.
There's going to be tons of them before we kick off game 1 against Monroe.
Right. Jamie, you got anything else, Coach?
I was just going to bring up, Coach, I was able to see a lot of our spring this year. And I just thought we competed good. And I know it's a game within a game out there, and a lot of times there was some close days, and then there were some days that didn't go so well. But I was just going to get you to kind of comment a little bit on that game within a game that we play out there.
Yeah, I think we do that well. I'll toot our own horn. I think our kids know how to practice.
Absolutely.
And I do. If anybody wants to know secret sauce, I think that's the secret sauce. I just think our kids go out and we compete at practice. I mean, compete.
Well, when you're
sometimes borderline too much.
Well, that's what I was going to say. You had to tell them to stop killing each other.
Yeah, and like I say, I want that horse that runs wide open, and you got to just hold the reins back.
Yeah.
I don't want a horse I got to whip on him to go.
Yep.
And so no, I thought they competed well. And if you will go out, and that's what I told you, one of the biggest things I thought we got is we had a lot of young kids start understanding how to practice and how to get better daily. And I thought you saw that. Like guys recognize, hey, I made these mistakes here. I did this wrong here. But the next day come out with a competitive spirit and look to go out there and compete. So, no, I'm really proud of that. And if the kids will come out and compete and really try, to go out and win every day, then, I mean, that's why they call you coach now. You got to coach them up.
Yeah.
I mean, that's your job to coach them the technique and fundamentals that help them. But if they're willing to bring it, then you should be fine.
Well, let me ask you
this. And that's why I feel good about it.
Well, before we let you go, you had a handful of new faces out there coaching. How did that go for those new guys?
Well, all right, very good point. Exactly, because the way we do it's different than the way other people do it.
It is, no question.
Right, now, right, wrong, or indifferent, but it's the way we're going to do it because we believe in it.
And it works.
So there was some, there was some stuff there, teaching them how we're going to do stuff. So there were some growing pains early on with that. Just kind of how the flow of our practice goes and how it's just steadily moving, and then also the competitiveness behind it.
Right.
Because sometimes the adults that we hire have to understand how important I think that is. Like because some coaches don't want you to go to. Hey, now that's a little too much. Hey, I'm over there like, man, what's wrong? Y'all done lost 3 days in a row. Y'all gonna try to win a day on that side of the ball? Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
I mean, freaking compete.
Yeah.
Because if the coaches will have that, I want my coaches competitive. I want my coaches mad when offense loses or defense loses. And I think the kids need to see the adults get frustrated that it's more in practice. So some of that had to happen, but then as it kind of settled in and they realized, how we want it and how I expect it, as far as the competitiveness, man, they jumped right in then, and you saw them feel okay with being competitive.
Yep.
Because, again, not every coach is okay with this thing being borderline, too physical.
Yeah.
Yes. A lot of people ain't okay with that.
And coach,
I'm okay with that.
And those coaches are learning how our players are too, and kind of getting the feel of what they can do. And
yeah, there was a lot of jockeying back and forth. I think there too, just getting to know one another. You're learning personality traits. You're learning, what ticks, what buttons to push. So there's a lot of that, but I thought it was great. For our coaches to kind of get together as coaches and kind of start learning how to work off of each other, because there's got to be an unwritten language where we can work off of one another.
Right. Two things before we let you go, Coach. First off, you guys are wrapping up your fundraiser for the team, and also the big Booster Club golf tournament that just wrapped up last week. Were you a part of that?
Yeah, I was out there to kind of see them all get started and see everybody and shake hands and say thank you. That boy, they had great weather for it.
Yeah,
sure man, it was beautiful. Man, beautiful. Awesome. No humidity, and great. So it looked like they had a really big time there and had a good turnout for our Booster Club there for our golf tournament that they've been doing for years. And so that went well. And just thank you so much for everybody who gave to our fundraiser, to our Texathon. Like I said, we'll end it today. We were hoping to have it out there for QR codes today, but at the end of the day, man, again, it was a big success. Again, this community just never ceases to amaze me, the way that they support and pull together and just always come through, to give us the resources so we can do things at an elite level. And be able to go, we went over all that summer. That's a bunch of hotel rooms and meals and all kind of stuff in that summer. And then also what you don't see is just all the things that we're able to buy to run our program right. We do so much with I try to buy so many things to help us to prevent injuries, right? We talked about depth. Well, why don't you put your money on that? Why don't you put your money on things that can help us with core shorts and wrist rockets and shoulder braces? I know for a lot of y'all, knee braces, all the things, y'all are like, what are those things? But these are all things that are going to help with these joints, whether it be in a hip, a wrist, a shoulder, a knee, that we can get some more stability to it. So we ain't worried about rehabbing it. Let's just don't get hurt. How about that?
That's right.
Well, and to all of those things, if you have some sort of sports medicine or medical anything attached to something, the price is ridiculous.
God, it is crazy, ain't it? It don't even make no sense when you call it sports equipment or health related. The price of it triples. Of course, now, the price of hamburgers are triple.
That's true.
So just feeding the kids now is unbelievable.
Especially some of them.
Oh my God! And they ain't eating one now. Ain't nobody doing it. Some of these boys ain't trying to get that little junior bacon cheeseburger. And they're like, that's all we got. They taking burgers from the little kids, so I can't have that. So you can't get enough.
Yeah, you take the protein shake, give me the burger.
Ain't no doubt, man. That's exactly right. So you just. It's amazing the amount it takes to run it right. We want to run it right because our kids sacrifice so much to be here.
Well,
and we work, but thank God for our community, we're able to.
And the community loves
they have gave awesome, and they've done that since day one when we were 0-0. This community has been just unbelievable from the jump.
Well, they love those Yellow Jackets, Coach.
Yes, they do. Yes,
you saw the crowd that was out here last Saturday morning. I was like, if we keep going here, this side's going to be full up before long.
It's awesome. It's amazing. There's no doubt. It is amazing.
It's a good spot, man. And again, thanks for all you've done, Coach. We appreciate everything that you do. You're the hub, man. We love you.
Well, we love it here. I promise you. It's just been awesome. Just a great place to work and coach ball. And, man, I couldn't ask for nothing better.
Well,
and I say a year from now, we're going to do it in the Taj Mahal. We ain't going to worry about this rain. A year from now, we just move inside and play.
You're right. The Taj Mahal, is that what you call it? The Taj
Yes,
Mahal?
sir, baby. It's coming now.
Well, Coach, listen, man, go enjoy whatever you got left of the evening, and we'll check in with you. We're going to do another one of these next Thursday night and kind of do a season wrap-up thing. We'll get you back on and finish it up and talk to you then.
Sure, no problem. Right now, we just at my house, all the kids are geeked up on the last week of school, man. They marking off the days, fired up for summer break.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I guarantee they're not the only one. All the teachers are, too, I can promise you.
Oh, ain't no doubt. Me I took Coop to school this morning. We was rocking out to Alice Cooper, baby.
School's out.
baby.
School's
Get
out,
ready
baby.
for it.
I like it. I like it. Coach, thanks for calling, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right.
You don't have to worry about trying to fill up time with Coach Justin Rogers. I can tell you
Heck
that.
no, man.
And I'm sorry if somebody was submitting questions or something.
I didn't see any.
Okay, I got so caught up in talking to him, but he seems very positive.
Absolutely.
I think he feels like there's a lot to build on. And one of the things that I wanted to point out too, I think some of our folks need to know that what he was saying about our defensive guys, we had several of the biggest stars that didn't play at all. Cam Brooks did not play hardly a down. D. Reddick played some, but they held him out because he had dinged his shoulder up a little bit. And
Cam Simon probably didn't play but half the spring.
Yep.
So
and Trayvon Pringle
Yep.
dinged up as well, but nothing, no major anything. Again, kind of those nagging things that hopefully again through the course of the summer they'll be able to get straightened out. But anyway, a positive spring and hopefully some answers to a lot of questions, because going into it now, the running back position, I mean, Trey Brenton, who is just so dependable, so
Yep.
consistent. You got to find somebody that's going to fill that slot when you need 2 or 3 yards. Who's going to be that guy? That tight end position where Malachi was so impressive over the last 2 years, really.
Yep.
What do you do there?
So we got some strong candidates in both of those positions, and
Yep.
that they're going to battle it out, and
Yep.
they won't be just one.
No.
We'll work.
Committee.
I guarantee you. I guarantee we run AJ. We run Ponder and
Kobe.
Kobe. I mean, we done that last year. I mean,
Yeah, well-
you seen all those guys last year. So.
Kobe's put on probably 15 pounds of muscle.
Yeah,
so he's grown.
And low rider, he's going to be fine.
Yep. That's a mod, by the way.
He impresses me, man.
Yep.
He's
Got a high motor.
and he's built low to the ground. So, I mean, one guy usually don't get him.
Yeah,
So
tough
he's going
to
to get you
tackle.
that yard. So
And I think offensive line, I'm not real. I don't think anybody's real concerned about the offensive line. I mean, their depth there might be kind of an issue, but I think those starting 5 guys are going to be just fine.
Yep.
And finding some help down on the defensive interior.
Yep.
That's I think linebackers are going to be fine. I think secondary is going to be fine. Of course, Cam Brooks he's possibly, arguably the top defensive end in the whole country, and he'll be a junior, and that's even better.
Yeah.
I think Cam Simon's going to be a name that folks are going to be kind of like Walter Reddick last year,
Yep.
where by the time the year's over with, everybody's going to know who he is. But finding those 2 other guys there on the interior to help fill that
And
spot.
I'm not worried about those. Coach Lane
Yeah.
will make sure that his guys are ready to play, and it's been amazing to watch Coach Lane work with those young men, and he's been able to when you come in and you're really not sure how how you're going to deal with the Rebels, and
How about Javion?
Javion, and Coach Lane comes in and
Yep.
becomes like his best friend,
Yep.
or
Almost like a
it was
mentor.
like a mentor to him. And when
The
I
light bulb
seen
came
that,
on,
it
yep.
was just and last year that whole front,
Yep.
it just the
progression of it.
the progression of it's unreal. He's done a great job. I wanted to make sure and bring him up.
I'm glad you did, because Javion, to me, if there has been a remarkable story
Yep.
on our defensive side of the football the last couple of years,
Yep.
I think everybody knew the potential with Javion,
Yep.
but it took the right person to be able to approach him on his own level
Yep.
to get it out of him.
Yep.
And my gosh, did they ever?
Coach Lane done a great job.
Yep.
And I'll just be honest with you, I wasn't sure. At one point, I was not sure about Javion.
Well, I think that's
And,
justifiable.
Man, a 180.
Yep.
And it's all due to the coach being able to coach a kid and know where he can step and where others couldn't.
Right.
So,
Well, again, kudos to the coaching staff, and
Absolutely.
and looking forward to seeing what they can get put together. And I know after a state championship year that had so many seniors, it's easy to look at it and kind of think, well, this is a rebuild, but there's a lot coming back. I mean, the cupboard is far from bare. And the good news is, it's just like with that offensive line.
We'll hear the lightning's answer in a minute.
I was going to say, that was some lightning. The good news is like with that offensive line, they saw so much action last year after halftime of games where we had big leads.
That's right.
Where they got onto the field and played against the other team's starters and did really, really well. I mean,
Yeah,
they got a lot of experience.
That offensive line, there was times, I'm not trying to jank on our offensive line, that number one, because it was good.
Mm-hmm.
It was solid as you get.
Yep.
But there was times when that second string came in, they just went right on down.
Yeah, wasn't any drop off at all.
Yeah. And you know that, yeah, they were on their first wind, and
Right.
but I thought that they had a lot of potential last year as a group.
Yeah.
And they made some changes kind of in there last year
Yep.
as the year went, and I think it bolstered that.
Yep.
And
Well,
So here's a question we did get. How many starters are we replacing?
the entire offensive line, your tight end, one receiver, one running back. So,
8
8 on
on
offense.
offense.
And
One thing I want to bring about that, the award
About
ceremony
6
on
on.
Thursday of all the seniors getting scholarships outside of,
Yeah.
football scholarships and the awards that,
Yeah.
that takes a commitment of the coaches, staff,
Yep.
and all that to keep them.
yeah, very impressive. We had a lot of those football players that were getting academic awards. And
AP awards.
yep.
I mean,
very impressive.
That's awesome.
that's a great group.
But it's actually more than 8, Jamie, because if you take Trayvon Pringle and move him over to defense, then you lose that starter.
Chris White says he thinks it's 16 starters.
16 starters total. That sounds about right. But the guys who were playing behind a lot of those starters got a lot of experience. And I'll use Omari Stevenson as an example. We talked about him all year last year.
And he was a freshman.
Well, he was a sophomore.
I'm sorry, a sophomore.
Omari is, to me, as good a looking athlete as we've had in forever.
Yep.
But there was nowhere for him to
No
get.
room.
There was no room for him on the field because you had so many stars on that defensive side that were juniors and seniors.
Yep.
You can't. Who do you pull?
That's right.
I mean, the good news was is if somebody came out, you had a solid replacement going in. But Amari he's got star written all over him. It's just a matter of him growing into his ability and getting confidence.
Yep.
But that's just a good example. I mean, talent's there. It's just a matter of experience.
Yep. And the way I've looked at it the whole time, I know we lost a lot of players, and a lot of players got playing time that was behind those guys. But usually you want to make sure you got a quarterback coming back.
Check.
We got a good quarterback. All right. On the defensive side of the ball, you got Cam
Yep.
Brooks on the defensive line.
Yep.
Check. You got Rubo at linebacker. Check. You got D. Reddick in the secondary.
Check.
You got leaders in
Yeah.
the right spots.
Yeah.
You'll,
At all
as you'll
levels.
you watch.
Yeah.
They'll bring those kids on.
Yep.
So,
I don't disagree. It's a good spot to be in. So, again, it's a shame we didn't get the blue and gold game in tonight. But the good news is I think Coach is satisfied that they got the work in over the spring. So I feel like he feels like the mission was accomplished. He would love to have them play
Absolutely.
but it's not like this is going to leave a big hole or a void anywhere. We do need to talk about some other sports before we get too far, and we want to tip our cap to our baseball team. Coach Ryan Strickland did another fantastic job leading the team to the Elite Eight, the third year in a row. They lost their series to Pope, which Pope, and I didn't realize this, will be playing in their third straight state championship series. Pope knocked us out, then they eliminated Houston County, swept them.
Yeah.
You do that, then you got something going on. Cause, not taking anything away from our guys, but Houston was one of the top-ranked, if not the top-ranked team in the whole state. Regardless of classification, they knocked out Houston 7-4 and 1-0, and now they'll be playing. Pope will be playing Etowah for the state championship for Class 6A. Again, for Central, third straight Elite Eight appearance. The seniors will graduate with a 92-53 record over their past 4 years, and that's almost twice as many wins as losses, and again 3 straight Elite Eight appearances. That's pretty sporty.
Pretty sporty.
Now I will let you in on a secret. According to inside sources, we very well may have 1 Player of the Year for region, 7 first-team all-region players, 4 second-team, and 4 honorable mentions. But all of those specific names and all will be released tomorrow. But sounds like our guys are going to rack up some postseason honors, and deservedly so. That's a fantastic year. And, you know, it's interesting, Jamie. We talked to Coach Strickland through the whole spring, and I don't want to say I made fun of him because of the difficulty of the schedule.
Yeah.
But it's clear that there was method in that madness. When you look at how well they did when they got into the playoffs,
Yeah.
they weren't intimidated by anything. They had already seen the top of the hill as far as teams like Lowndes and Houston and the teams in Florida that they played, and going up there and playing Milton and Walton and those guys in some of those off-region tournaments. Coach Strickland, he tests them in those non-region games so that whenever they get into the tough region games, they're ready to go.
That's right.
And it seems to work.
It works. Oh, they've done a great job. 3 Elite Eights is, man, that's
Pretty sporty.
That's pretty sporty. So, whatever they're doing, they need to keep doing it.
Yep.
Got some great young talent coming up. I still think every time I went out there, it seemed like I think there was 6 seniors on this team, I believe.
You're young.
But it seemed like every name you heard was either a sophomore or either a freshman or junior.
Yeah.
So so I think the sky's the limit still for this baseball team. So they'll grow.
Yeah, future's
They'll grow.
bright.
It's just tough when you're playing up in baseball like this. It's anytime you go up north of Macon, it really gets tough then, because that's in football, that's in everything. You go up there in soccer, you find out what you got.
Well, and people ask me, they hear us say that, and they'll go, well, why? Why is that the case? It's population.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that simple.
More to choose from.
Well, and you've got so many schools that are so close together for a top-tier type athlete to go from one school to another. It doesn't create any waves because there's so many students.
That's right.
Number-wise, population-wise. But down here, because we're so spread out, you take a top-tier athlete from Central and he goes to Cairo or something, that's a huge deal.
Yeah.
But when you've got one that's moving from Milton to Walton or from Walton to Buford, that happens all the time.
Yeah.
So, again, you've got certain schools that are baseball schools. You've got like Pope. I mean, that's a good example right there. They're a baseball school.
That's right.
So you look at their roster in this day and age, if you did some research, you may see players that were playing somewhere else nearby last year. They didn't come up through Pope's system, but because they see an opportunity there to be able to win a championship, they
entered the transfer portal.
I mean, that's where we're at. I mean, I hate to put it that way, but athletically, it's affecting the high school level too.
Yeah,
There's just no way around it.
It does.
There's no way around it. And you've got families, and this is not, I'm not saying this in a negative way, but you've got families and student athletes, students that are athletes that are looking to better their opportunities.
Yeah.
And I'm not a fan of it personally.
Yeah.
I would rather see Thomas County Central go play with guys that have come up through our system, or I'd rather see Cairo or Thomasville with guys that have come through their systems and grown up Bulldogs or Syrup Makers or Yellow Jackets.
That's right.
But the hard reality of it in this day and age, that's not the way it works. I mean, they are looking for an opportunity to be seen and to be able to excel at a higher level than wherever they find themselves at that point in time. It's the nature of the beast, and you can poo-poo it all you want, but as far as what you see with the colleges and the transfer portal and not even knowing who's on your roster, unfortunately, that is trickling down into the high school level.
Absolutely.
And
monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know what you do about it.
I don't know what you do either. You got to set some boundaries, but every time you set boundaries, that they figure out a way around them.
Yep.
So, but
Anyway,
it's a very interesting time. In sports.
It really is. I mean, as a Georgia guy, I know trying to keep up with who was coming and going, like during the spring for the Georgia football team. I wrote my friends. I said, just let me know when it's August so I can look at the roster and know who to cheer for.
Yeah, when we get it nailed down, let me know.
Yeah. Just tell me, and then I'll learn who's who.
That's right.
But until then, it's so fluid, and unfortunately, that model is kind of having an impact in the high schools too.
It is.
And it's not as bad in Georgia as it is in Florida. I mean, because in Florida, if you've got a kid who is say a baseball star at Childs, okay, well, if he wants to go play football at Lincoln, he can start the year at Lincoln, potentially maybe go to Leon for basketball, and then go to Childs for baseball season. And no penalty, no nothing. I mean, it literally is the Wild Wild West, where kids can just go wherever they want to and not even have to stay the whole year. It's based on whatever sport they want to play at a particular school.
And I know this may be a selfish way to look at it, but when you got an athlete or you're willing to take an athlete like that, that takes somebody that has maybe grew up a Yellow Jacket or grew up a Bulldog or that takes their spot.
Yep.
And
that's tough.
That's tough.
That's tough.
So,
and again, not saying it's wrong.
right.
It's just the way it is.
Just
the way it is.
It's a new world.
Let's congratulate our soccer teams. We have a lot of accolades for them. On the girls' side, Bailey Maroney is the Region Offensive Player of the Year. Paige Parkerson, the Region Defensive Player of the Year. And Tony Voles, the Region Coach of the Year.
Awesome.
Shocker there since they went undefeated. That's a pretty good
That's
good
pretty
run.
sweet now.
Riley Fisher made first team All-Region. Addie Vickers, first team All-Region. Michaela Voles, Jordan Tillman, Celeste Owens, and Mackenzie Smith, all second team. And then Amber Griner, Emma Brumley, and Kenzie Morton, honorable mention All-Region. And then on the boys' side, Braden Vickers was the Region Defensive Player of the Year. Lee DeVergel, I think is his name, and if I'm butchering that one, I'm sorry, Lee. First team All-Region. Oliver Perez, first team All-Region. Dylan Wilder, first team All-Region. Then Hayden Morales, Bryce Folsom, Christian Rivas, and Efren Garcia, second team All-Region. Then Tim Watson, Drew Renault, and Manny Fabian, honorable mention All-Region. And
That's
again,
awesome.
Tony Voles was the coach there as well. So congratulations to all of those players and Coach Voles. Fantastic year. Casey, I don't remember specifically what happened with our esports, but I know that
So they made it to the Final Four?
Yeah, they were in the Final Four the last time we had
Yeah.
And then they lost out. Let's see if I can find
I think it was Lowndes that they
Really?
that lost the first game
Had to
match.
be somebody that close?
Yeah. But they had, I think, 3 or 4 of their teams that made it to the Elite Eight. All of them made it to the playoffs except for one, and there's like 9 different teams.
Wow.
So that's very, very impressive. Coach Mark Thompson, just a fantastic job there, and does a great job with those kids. As we've said before, some of us old school guys, it's hard for us to wrap our heads around esports.
Yep.
But it's hard for us to wrap our heads around bass fishing. I mean, you're going to have flag football, which will be coming in the fall. Which, by the way, I heard they had like 60-something girls come out for the meeting for flag football.
Hey.
Yeah, so
Go get them.
That'll be fun to
I
watch
love
for this fall as well. Girls basketball is getting ready for their summer camps in June. The high school, middle schools will be participating in camp. There's camp schedule. Their games start on June the 3rd. They'll be hosting games on June 4th, June 5th, June 17, June 18, and June 20. The girls are expected to be traveling to the University of Florida for the high school on June 15, Florida State June 21, and Troy State on June 25th. And, again, Coach Maston does a fantastic job with our girls. I know that's going to be a great experience for them. But it's becoming like football with all the other sports. It doesn't stop.
Yeah,
it's year-round.
Yeah, you're getting left behind if you're not.
It's the truth. I don't know how else you're going to do it. He says that they've got 5 rising freshmen that will be looking to bust the varsity schedule. That'll be fun to watch. Let's talk about the golf tournament.
Yeah.
Sound like that went pretty good for the boosters.
I think they had another. I think they filled that golf tournament up again, I think,
Yeah.
with 24 teams.
Let me see if I can pull up the
And,
results. Go ahead.
That's always a big. That is our booster club's largest fundraiser for the year, and it always does a great job. It's always gets well supported. Country Oaks does a good job of hosting that for us.
Yeah, three separate
And,
flights of
had
players.
Three flights, and
Flight 1, Chandler Barnes, Parker Bonner, Tyler Thompson, Josh Connell shot 57 to come in second. And then Matt Dukes, Adam Cox, Jonathan Vines, and JT Harrison won Flight 1, shot 53. That's pretty
53.
sporty.
That's pretty sporty now. I got to talk to Matt. It seems like Matt's been playing a lot of golf.
Then Flight 2, the number 2 team was Blaine Murkerson, Clark Phelps, May Seeley, Austin Johns. They shot a 62. Ryan Strickland, there you go.
There he is.
Noah Taylor, Trent Dews, and Zach Williams shot 58 to win Flight 2. And then Flight 3, number 2 was Randy Eubanks, David Hauer, Hannah Moore, Tanner Moore. They shot 65. Then Eric Mitchell, Will Voorhees, Wesley Myers, and Alec Champ. They shot 64 to win Flight 3. The longest drive went to Wesley Myers, and closest to the pin, Mason Collins. Brian Johnston also did well with long drive, and Cam Wilburn on the closest.
There's usually
to the pin.
2 long drive holes and 2 closest to the pins.
So I guess that's probably the holes that they did it
on number 1 and number 12.
Yeah, number 1 for Wesley Myers, number 12 for Brian Johnston, and then closest to the pin, Mason Collins for hole 2, and Cam Wilburn on number 6.
Yep.
So a big day for the boosters there.
And had beautiful weather for it. Man,
Oh, my
it was
gosh.
just one of those, golly, probably ain't but about a handful of days you get like that.
Yeah.
And
Well,
low
whenever
humidity.
you go,
and
we go out at night and see the northern lights. That should tell you something.
That was something different.
That was crazy.
That was weird.
Yeah, it was.
But just overall, just a lot of good things happening for the Yellow Jacket Nation.
Yeah.
And it don't do nothing but get hotter from here on in.
Yeah, well, and again, now, not this Thursday, but the following Thursday. And I cannot for the life of me, I think it's the 23rd maybe, Casey. I believe that's right. The next Thursday, not this Thursday, but the next Thursday, I believe it's the 23rd. We will do one more of these and kind of have a season, year wrap-up type thing. And we'll try to get Coach Rogers back on. I'm going to try to get Philip Duplantis, the athletic director, to call up, and we'll talk to him about the world of Yellow Jacket sports. And hopefully by then we may have some answers. I've had a lot of people asking questions about the Thomas County School Sports Hall of Fame and what's going on with that.
Yep.
And we are narrowing down the first group of inductees. And just to clarify a couple of things about that, the focus on that Sports Hall of Fame is going to be the athletes that have come through the Thomas County systems, which includes Pre-Integration Central High School, Magnolia High School, Central High School, and Thomas County Central. But there's been a lot of questions about coaches and that sort of thing. The focus to begin with are on those athletes that came through Thomas County. Mm-hmm. Any other questions or anything, Casey, before we get ready to haul out of here?
No, we're good. I mean, Obadiah wants us to do this in front of a live group.
Oh, my gosh.
I hear you,
would be
Obadiah.
dangerous.
That would be something else.
That would be something.
We could definitely have the clap light.
No, it'd be the horns.
I'd
You
like
can't use
to,
clapping.
and also for everybody out there that's got the bad weather the last couple weeks, man, we thoughts and prayers go out to those in Tallahassee down there. 3 tornadoes, I think, last Friday.
What a mess.
And we may have some more bad weather in the morning, so just everybody
be aware.
Stay safe and be aware.
Be aware. And if you don't have a weather alert app on your phone, you need to get one. WCTV,
put it on
and
there.
I'm not making a plug for WCTV, but Rob Nucatola and those guys do about as good a job as anybody.
Yep.
And Casanova Nurse from Channel 27, they've got an app. WCTV's got an app, and it is really worth it when there's a dangerous weather situation because they will come on live on your phone talking to you about what's going on.
Yeah.
Or check out the Weather with Randy page.
No.
You may get updates.
My gosh. Aaron Stolaric
The one, the only.
created a Weathering It with Randy page on Facebook. And I still don't understand this. At some point along the line, I guess because I've got so many people that are connected to my Facebook page, I would just share information about weather stuff.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where if there was some sort of threat of weather, people were posting saying, Randy, what's going on with the weather? I'm like, why are you asking me? So Aaron creates this Weathering It with Randy page. So if you're on Facebook and you want to hear the weather from me, which means I've gone to WCTV, I've gone to the Weather Channel, and then
But it's all in one place, though.
the National Weather Service. Those three, I guess I'm taking those three things and combining them into one thing. If you're good with that, then go find the Weathering It with Randy page. Otherwise, get you a weather app.
Yeah.
From WCTV or Channel 27 or something. The sort WALB in Albany's got one, but I think the ones in Tallahassee are a little
Well,
more.
I'll tell you. I was out of town Thursday night. I went to a concert in Dothan. Well, at 4:30 in the morning, Friday morning, the phones go off, and it's like an Amber Alert, but it said tornado warning in Dothan. So, you're in a fog because now you've been jolted out of sleep or out of, asleep.
Yeah.
And then their siren starts going off outside, and it ain't an air raid siren. It's a revolving siren that comes close and then goes.
Whoa.
Brandy's like, what is that? And I'm like, man, I guess there's a tornado close because all the sirens.
Were y'all in a hotel?
We were in a hotel.
Golly.
And so I look out the window,
Yeah.
which you ain't supposed
That
to do
helps.
that. But it's lightning like nonstop, like it's day outside
Yeah.
at 4:30. I mean, there was never a second that the lightning wasn't. But it was just south of Dothan. It went through Cottonwood and all that down there. But I think that same big track of weather is what got Tallahassee.
Well, and thank goodness, not to toot Thomas County's horn, but that we canceled school that morning, because you talk about a mess in Leon County. They did not cancel schools, but of course the National Weather Service and all the emergency management people thought the worst of the weather was going to be up here.
Yep.
And that line dipped south of the state line, and they had buses trying to run while those tornado warnings were
They had to
going
pull
out.
over to the side of the road and stop.
That is
'cause they couldn't
terrifying. But
Oh, man.
anyway, I know we had one fatality in Tallahassee, but that could have been way, way worse.
Yep.
And as Jamie mentioned just a minute ago, giving you a Weathering It with Randy preview, there are some lines of bad weather that are supposed to come through tonight on into the morning, and about 5 or so in the morning is when it's supposed to kind of really hit the peak. So just be aware, be alert, and keep up with it.
Don't be scared. Be aware.
No sense in being scared. Have a plan. That's the deal. I mean, if something's going on, what are you going to do?
Just wear a bike helmet or have you something. I'm serious.
No,
just something
just
to slip
something to
on your
protect
head.
yourself. Yeah, I mean, there's so many stories that you hear about these people that will do just what you're talking about. I mean, they'll put on a bike helmet and go climb in the bathtub or something, and that saves their life.
Yes.
I know it sounds kind of silly, but if you get to walk away from it, it ain't silly.
That's right.
Just saying.
I mean, I'm good with it.
100%. Let the TV stations come up and interview me with my bike helmet
Just
on.
like the guy on the WCTV last night, or one of them.
Here
He
we
said
go.
that he seen the tornado. He said he seen it come
Tornado?
across his yard, and he seen it come back and went into his neighbor's yard. And I said,
I
said, Brandy, I ain't never seen one do that.
No,
But he did.
it might have been delivering pizza or something.
And Brandy says, where do they get these guys? I said, well, it's the only ones that'll talk.
Yeah, they find the ones to talk to. There's no question. Of course,
So-
now something will happen. They'll be talking to me and you, and then
Oh,
everybody else
God.
going, yeah, they're right. They'll talk to any daggum body. Oh, and by the way, Brian Davis,
Yeah.
not here tonight, and that's a weather thing. He wanted to go ahead and get on home not knowing what the weather was going to be like. He's driving back and forth from Tallahassee. So we gave him the night off, but he'll be back here again on the 23rd.
Yep.
Yeah.
We'll shoot for 7 o'clock, and we will do our year-end wrap-up post-graduation, and it'll be the last one before football season.
For the horns break out.
Golly.
I wonder how many horns are going to be at graduation.
Oh gosh.
I hadn't even thought about that.
Everybody remember, don't do it until the end.
Y'all better set a.
Or
y'all
don't-
better go ahead and set something.
Hold
up
your
on that.
horn until the end of the rows, until the last name in the row is called.
And then Ransom Young for some reason?
That's the
Is that the
last
last
one. Now, when Ransom Young's name is called, hopefully, and again, Lord willing, the creek don't rise, I'll be the one doing the calling there. I'm dropping the mic. And y'all can blow them horns
Good thing
all
it ain't
you
my
want to
mic.
at that point, because that's the last name on the whole thing. I hope they hear us downtown with the horns at that point. But, yeah.
Now, rumor has it that might be your last name that you're going to call for good.
I'm not saying that, but I would not mind that. There's been enough tongue twisters over the last 25 or so years with those.
Yeah, I think it's Justin Quick's time.
I
Don't
do
you
not.
think?
I think Brian Davis. I think
Brian
right now.
would do
I
a
think
great
Brian
job.
would be perfect.
I hope
Why
Brian's
don't they
watching.
tag team it? Justin do one and then Brian does one.
Do one row and then
Do
they
a
switch
swap?
out,
Yeah.
and then whoever.
Save the voice.
I like it.
You know
I
how
like
they do with the board members?
Yeah.
Handing them out.
Yeah. When they switch board members, they should
Absolutely.
switch between Brian and Justin.
Absolutely.
I have no problem.
Except for
with that.
Brian gets the harder names to say, and then Justin gets the easy ones.
What folks don't understand, I know we're going way over time. What folks don't understand about the graduation thing, the names that are the most difficult are the ones that look like they would be said a very easy, specific way, but that are said a totally different way.
I got you.
I'll never forget a girl that had A-N-N-A with one of those little things over the A. Anna.
Nope.
It was Anayi. Anayi. And so what I did is I just scratched Anna off, and I wrote out A-N-N-A-Ya-E. Anayi.
Yeah.
With a Y-E-E. I wrote it out phonetically how it
Yeah.
would be said. That's what gets crazy. But
Yep.
most of them are doable. And thankfully, some of the ones that have the worst names will come up and say, Mr. Young, don't try that. Just use my first name and my last name, and I'm forever indebted to them. I can tell you.
You also mess up the ones you know the best.
Oh,
You've had
my
them forever.
gosh. Terry Pierce, who I grew up watching her grow up. There was some name before hers that was about that long.
Yep.
And I called her Terry Price. And from this day forward, every time she messages me on Facebook or something, she says, "This is Terry Price," instead of Terry Pierce. Which, God.
Terry Price from Pierce County.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it never. I didn't even realize I did it. I didn't even realize I did it until afterwards. And I'm like, someone I have actually watched grow up since they were this tall. Come on. Anyway, but graduation's here Monday, so if you're coming,
Graduation will be Saturday,
or it will be Saturday.
not Monday.
Terry Pierce just told me no, it will be on Saturday morning,
Right.
9 o'clock.
All right. Remember, if anybody's watching this that has a senior, they have to be at Bishop Hall at 7 a.m.
7 a.m.
If you can't get there on time,
Now
get there at 6:45.
for graduation rehearsal, they got to be there at 7:30. Okay, on Friday. So just kind of keep an eye on that. Weather-wise, yeah, I know that we've got weather for the week. I don't know how that's going to impact
Pay
things here.
attention to the school's Facebook
That's- yeah.
and announcements that'll be sent out probably on Remind and all that.
That's way
If it
above.
changes.
That's way above this
We don't
end
get
of
paid
the.
for this.
Well, I was going to say that's way above this end of the totem pole. Just saying it's
Way
up
above.
that way. So,
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, thanks for being here. Thank you, Jambone.
Absolutely.
Another
man.
hour and a
It's-
half almost.
Hey.
My gosh,
Hey, that's all right.
Enjoy doing this. Like I told you, this has been one of the highlights things that I've ever done.
it's fun.
It's
fun.
It's fun. I love talking Yellow Jackets.
Me too.
I don't care what it is. Let's just talk about it.
And one of these nights when we have a off week during football season, we're going to talk about the road trips from the radio crew. Whether Casey wants to do it or not, it's coming.
It's coming.
It's coming. Casey, thank you, buddy.
Yeah, you're
Appreciate
welcome.
it. And we will be here 23rd for the season wrap-up. For the crew here, y'all have yourself a great week. This is Randy Young. And as always, go Jackets.